We have some alerts from the community over here. You ready to field some questions from the chat?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to let these things fly through here. Let's see what we got.
Super chat.
This is from The Clipper.
Hey, Mark, tell us all about the Yeknik lawsuit.
Okay, so actually, this is fascinating. I just actually, right before we went live, I noticed that Unique said that he won the lawsuit. I don't know the details behind this, but what are your thoughts on?
I know what the update was. I know like he kind of stretched it out, you know, so, but like, look, here's what I know. Brendan, after getting accused of like, you know, he was accused of like handing off his number to somebody at this Malka event almost like a year ago to the day of, you know, at this Super Bowl party where he was on a live broadcast with Mike Tyson and some other football players. And on the widescreen shot, you could see him hand this number to somebody or a piece of paper with writing on it. Now, Unique made a video saying, oh, this is evidence he's cheating on his wife. He handed off this piece of paper. Now, I don't know. I'm agnostic about what actually happened. Brendan told me, you know, oh, this is a professional contact, whatever. Who knows? Because in retrospect, like, you know, again, anything that Brendan says, you can't take at face value because he's a pathological liar. But this was one of many critical videos that Unique has made. Brendan decided he had enough, and that was the final straw. And so he hired. He did a bunch of copyright claims on like all his videos that use any sort of footage from, you know, so that wasn't even one of them. I think that like got copyright, you know, struck because he was using all ones that had footage from like tfatk or other shows. Now, Unique challenged it. And I guess the next step after that, if, you know, somebody says like, this isn't your material, then you're like, no, it's fair use. Then you have to take it to court. You know, I guess YouTube, my understanding of it is YouTube kind of goes, yeah, like you guys deal with it now. So Brendan spent several $100,000 apparently fighting this guy in court, you know, and he keeps bragging about like, I got these beast of a lawyer, Justin Bieber's guy, and you know, this and that, like but it's like, okay, like, but so you can keep this guy's YouTube channel down because the guy instantaneously made another YouTube channel and has been making videos about Brendan since. So he literally just took, you know, like $250,000 and flushed it down the toilet. And he kept complaining about like, oh, I got another like, you know, bill for $10,000 to have to file this thing. You know, it just seemed like a giant money pit. And actually that would be really funny if Unique actually won this lawsuit, you know, because Brendan's understanding of it was that this guy's going to have to, he's going to have to take down all his channels. So I'm like, I thought you guys like sue this guy, got to take it down, but like he still has a channel. And he's like, oh, well, if we win this lawsuit coming up, and Unique's kept pushing it, you know, pushing the ball down the road a little bit to put off this final judgment. But like, if he did all that and then lost the fucking case, my God, that would be hilarious.
Dude, I couldn't believe it. Right before, I don't know what the story is. I know he's live. He was live before. Right when we went live, I saw it. I was like, fuck, I wish I could watch this and find out. But Unique, if you won, that is pretty hilarious. Oh my. All right, let's see what else we got over here.
Super chat.
Okay, this is from Robert Gould.
Marg, where did Big Gay Lion come from? Welcome to community of homeless cats. We don't matter, B. For real though, you seem like a good guy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's actually been really cool connecting with a lot of people on Reddit. When I came into the AMA and kind of, as I said, came clean and took responsibility for the things that I feel like I need to take ownership of, and that, you know, that I did mistakes that I've made in interacting with you guys or characterizing you guys. And even just like, you know, working for Shop. Again, that's me. That's my decision. Nobody forced me to do that. So I take ownership of that. And it's been cool to kind of like get messages from people where they go, you can actually see above, like, you know, oh, 6 months ago, you're talking shit to me. And then you're like, hey man, my bad. Like I had a different perception of you back then. And I, you know, after the AMA, that's really cool because I can do that too. And I hope people, you know, are able to have this fresh start. Where did BGL come from? It was a nickname that came up pretty quickly. Obviously, it stands for Big Gay Lion. I think it's not a bad nickname at all. Like I love lions and I love cats, and you know, like so. It's a catchy one, right? That's the main thing about a nickname. It has to be catchy. It's not too over the top. it's like, oh no, I'm being called gay. Like and BGL is catchy as an acronym too. So it just stuck,
There you go. And by the way, there is an update in the chat. It does look like Unique actually won the lawsuit, so it looks like it actually is true. Ladies and gentlemen, one for the boys over here.
Hey.
Oh my God.
Sean just got bent over and fucked in the ass by Unique. Like, how did that feel? How does that feel, Brendan? You just got outed as a liar on this show, and then also Unique fucked you over, took out his dick, and he bent you over, pulled out his dick, and fucked you in the ass. I know. My wife said he probably liked that. You're right.
Oh my! He probably. I like your wife. She seems like she's a feisty one.
Yeah, she's a feisty one, all right.
Let's see what else we got over here for Hello Mark.
Super chat.
Okay, this is Esteban.
Marg, what do you think of newly Mexican thirst trap posted on Reddit today? Mystic most bring it up. Very dicey.
Very dicey indeed. Seems like there's probably trouble in paradise, huh? If your girl, if you and your wife are, have this super healthy marriage and you're just posting like OnlyFans, but now she looks great. Not gonna take that away from her, but like, I mean, come on, I don't know what's going on over there, but like they're not going to post a picture together. Like, it's just kind of funny. I don't know.
Is that the picture? The picture I just pulled up on Instagram over here, where his wife is just all of a sudden naked, like half naked on, like, what is going on?
What's up?
Well, out of a woman's perspective, I just want to say, A, Joanna's great. Whatever happens, she does not deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the husband doesn't make you feel good. You got to post shit like this because you got to get it from somewhere else. And I stand 100% behind her that she posted this. She's hot. She should show it. And that motherfucker doesn't deserve her.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, I don't have a problem with her posting hot pictures of herself, but to me, it would indicate, like, because he does not really like posting her. I mean, let's be honest. Like, and so it would seem to indicate something. I don't think it's wrong to read into that post, I guess is what I was saying.
Yeah, he commented, he says, not sure how I got so lucky, but I'll take it. Thanks, life. Thank you for being the rock of our amazing family. Me and the boys are so lucky to have happy Valentine's Day. Boo. But it's a weird caption for this picture, right? It's a little bizarre.
Agreed. So, I'm not getting...
Stupid.
She's not stupid, she says.
She knows what's happening.
So... Yeah, I'll stop there. I could say more, but I'll leave it there. But let's just say there's not too much that you could read into that would be out of bounds, I'd say.
Okay. And by the way, guys, if you're just jumping in, we're talking to Hella Markharley. And we're not trying to just completely, I know it looks like we're just shitting on Schaub and this and that. We're just getting a side of a story over here. We're learning this side of the situation, and it's very convincing. I mean, and as the show goes on, it gets worse and worse for Brendan. I'm not going to lie. Like I said, we're not looking to cancel the guy. That's not what we're looking to do over here. But
no,
it's a whole thing,
facts are facts. I mean, facts are facts. And when somebody's out there like, and look, he's been bad mouthing me the whole time. I brought up the example before where, he's like, he's done this 30 times where something happens and he turns around and it's like, makes shit up. Like he was bad mouthing me and Luana after we came over to his house to talk MMA, and he's acting like we just wouldn't shut the fuck up and he couldn't pay attention to the fights when really something else entirely was going on. So he likes to do this, like he swaps characters in a story, like something will happen. Like the dick pic joke about me, it's like, my guess is some dude sent him a fucking dick pic that he's trying to hook up with, and he swapped out me for this dude, like with the shitty dick pic. I swear to God, because it's like, where the fuck does this come from? He doesn't use imagination in any of his fucking bits, and everything's made up. Like he did this in Gringo Poppy, like there's this thing that he made up about, he said his wife's a real rattlesnake. First of all, she's a super nice person, and he attributes this line to her, like, crap out the uglies, and text back, like, as if they're in a group chat with, like, school parents, and, like, they send a kid on the first day of school, and she goes, crap out the uggos. He actually said that. So, again, he swaps the characters to make something else look bad. He does this whole bit about how his mom or his mother-in-law is like this, mijo, I don't speak English. They're like you kind of picture this, like, this woman who just made it over the border to, like, cook for her son-in-law, and it's like, The mom-in-law is like this beautiful 50-year-old European-looking woman who speaks perfect English with a slight accent. Like, none of it is fucking real. You know, he says his wife's from Guadalajara, moved here 10 years ago illegally. She was born in Hollywood. What the fuck are you talking about? Like,
Oh my God.
it's literally, it doesn't stop. That's what I'm like. That's why I feel like calling this out. It's like, no, dig into anything. Watch the Beige Frequency documentary where he lies about literally every single joke in his fucking special, like, doesn't add up with the timeline. He'll be talking about, you know, watching Ace Ventura, and then UFC 1 comes on. You're like, oh, that doesn't actually work chronologically. Like, you know, I forget what the details are, but there's all these things where, like, you know, he says he's fighting at this venue and it's not true. And all, like, every single fact that he claims is based on a lie or an exaggeration in that special alone. And then, you know, also his whole life at large.
Damn, man, it's crazy. We did a stream and we filleted him for that whole special. We broke down every joke and we just couldn't wrap our head around it. And then afterwards I was like, oh man, I probably shouldn't have done that. That was silly. And now hearing this, I feel great about doing it. It's ridiculous.
Like, I'm with you because I don't want to shit on anybody's like earnest creative efforts.
Yeah.
But then when you look at it in the larger pattern of like, everything he does is a lie to make other people look stupid and himself more, competent or cooler or relatable, right? It's all grandiosity and envy. You know, he has to make him like, he has to like portray this grandiose fantasy version of himself and then also put other people down that he has this envy towards. But really, I think he despises his family and that, like, you know, in-law side of his family.
Wow.
So.
That's some harsh words right there. I love your honesty, bro. You're my new favorite guy. Like, do you have a podcast coming out too? Like, what's going on? A new podcast?
I do have a few things coming out. I'm going to not do the haters will say anymore because, like, that's my fuck you to Brendan Schaub is like, if I started anything with you, I do not need that moving forward. I don't want to take any of your fucking help or anything you helped me started. And this conversation actually helped me realize all of that this is a guy who, like, again, you know, I know friends who he claims to have like bought cars for, and then you find out like, oh, the guy paid a down payment and like 3 monthly payments and then stopped paying, you know, and he's like going around like saying like, so all these things, if he does something for you, he'll exaggerate it 10x and then hold it over your head for the rest of your life. So in his head, he probably gave me a huge social media following too. And somebody has claimed this on my Instagram too, like he gave you a following. Like, actually, you know, I work with Isaiah Miranda, you know, 3 to 4 times a week doing these skits. He's got 1 million followers on YouTube and TikTok and all that stuff. So like, you know, the notoriety that I've gotten from this is not all from Brendan Schaub. It helped a little bit, but like he also, you know, he undermined me a lot. So how much does it help if this guy puts you on, but then he talks shit about you in his act. He talks shit about you on his podcast. He talks shit about you to other people. Right. And also like, and because of him, you know, I had this whole community turned against me just for defending him. And, you know, luckily I've been able to face it head on and I think undo a significant portion of the damage. I don't know if that'll ever be completely undone. There'll probably be some people that are there that will never like me, and that's fine. That's their prerogative. But it also goes to show you like, hey, Brendan, if you want to win people over and right this ship of every one of your shows declining in views over time, and you have no fucking idea why, and you want to blame it on YouTube suppression and shadow banning and the haters and, you know, woke liberal tech companies suppressing you. No, it's because you make shitty content. You're a pathological liar. You can't face any of your criticisms. You don't read comments because you're scared of them. And you're too much of a fucking pussy to take accountability for anything in your life. That is the core of all these issues. And you could have gone on the subreddit 5 years ago and been honest with them and actually get them on your side, but you're unwilling to do that. And that's the core of everything. So
I just dropped a poll in the chat. I asked if they're your team Mark or team Brendan. We're going to find out from the people right now what team they're on. I got another donation over here. They want to speak to you. This is Wildberry.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Couple questions for you, Marg. Have you tried Tiger whiskey? How does that sink smell? I heard Bopper is seasoning it well. Is Bopper gay? I feel like he has shown Brian his dick. He always tell him about dicks and shit.
Okay, a couple of questions in there. So, Tiger whiskey, what does it taste like?
I don't know. I think it tastes pretty good. I think the main, like, I don't have an issue with it. I'm also not a whiskey connoisseur, but like, I think the main thing people have an issue with it who are into whiskey is that it costs too much. Like the price point might be a little bit high for the quality, but that's, I don't like speaking on things that aren't my expertise. So I'm not going to shit on it and say it's bad. I've drunk it many times it's certainly good enough for me. I think the only issue would be people maybe feel like it's overpriced, but it's not like Brendan made it. It's like, I don't know what he does with it, but it's like, oh, worked so hard to create this company. Did you? You came up with a concept and paid other people. So.
All right. And gay or no? Yes or no? What do you say?
I don't think he's gay. It just wouldn't would it shock anybody in this fucking chat right now watching this live stream if you found definitive evidence that he fucks dudes? He's obsessed with penises and he's constantly snitching on himself in all aspects of his life. Take it for what it's worth. He won't shut up about cock.
Okay, fair enough. I'm going to try to, I don't want to keep you here all day. I appreciate your time. We got some more donations, so we'll just do rapid fire answers to these donations. Okay. How's that sound? Okay, here we go.
Super chat.
We got the Clipper coming back in.
Mark, are the shows super scripted like word for word?
Okay.
Wait, are the shows super scripted? Like, is tfatk scripted? Is the Schaub show scripted? That implies that Brendan could read or memorize things. So good luck with that.
What is it like when he reads an ad, when he tries to belt out an ad?
I can't even be in the room because it's just like, first of all, because I do ad reads, I do ad reads. I improvise all my ad reads, by the way. When I do one for Happy Hippo, I do one for Oak and Stone. I have a concept in my head and I improvise it. And if I mess up a fucking word, I'm starting over. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't take that long. You're doing a minute-long ad read max. Why don't you and it's on a piece of paper, it's written for you, and you're stumbling over the words and mispronouncing things and backing, it's like, as an actor, who goes yeah, you should be able to cold read at minimum. I've done auditions, seeing text for the first time or improvising that are I just, to me, if I were a company that sponsored him, I'd be like, what the fuck is this? Why don't you do it right? And and send us that instead of this bullshit. You look like a fucking 8th grader hooked on phonics student, so again, you're trying to sell something, not sell that you're mentally handicapped. You're trying to sell a product. So if I were the company, I'd be like, no, this is unacceptable.
Okay, there we go. We got a super chat from Lenny Torrance coming in.
What was the extent of Boppa's help with Stephen Bonner and how much of it was exaggerated? Thanks for a great week at Changs.
Well, I think if you're looking if you want to figure out how much, to what degree, Brendan's telling the truth, this good starting point would be take whatever he said and then divide it by 10, as the most generous assessment of what probably happened, if he says, I paid Ray Borg's child, his kid's hospital bills. Okay, if that was $100,000, go, 10,000 would be the most that he'd ever do. And then it's probably something more like 2,000, right? And so whatever help he said he did with Stephen Bonner, he's just a guy who, I've seen multiple examples of this where he needs to claim that he helps people. That's the only way that he can get out this narrative that he's a good guy. And that's why there's clips of him being like, I'm a good guy. I'm a good guy. Well, because you're not. And then you do probably do some charitable giving, but you're doing it to try to milk this narrative that you're really altruistic. He's one of the most selfish, greedy people I've ever fucking met. And that's serious. He's not a generous person. He'll if he's in the mood for it and he wants your mood to match his mood, as I've seen with many people who kind of have these narcissistic traits, it's he's generous when he's in a fantastic mood or kind of manic or whatever, but he has no principles. If he says he was going to do something and his mood changes to a different mood than what it was when he was promised something, then he'll just not do it and not feel like there's any tension, ethically speaking, between those two things.
There you go. What we got here? We got
super chat.
The Clipper loves talking to you. Clipper coming back in.
Did he make up the bomb threat to his kid's school?
If Brendan said it, it's probably a lie. That's really the principle, that you have to live by. It's at the time he told me, I would have believed him, but literally you just heard from a guy who said that I talked with him on the phone, screamed at him and hung up. And that phone call never happened. I haven't talked to him in 3 months, and I couldn't, or I haven't been on a phone call with him, and 3 months is just as far as I can think back. it's probably even long enough that I've been on the phone with him. And here's a guy saying, I talked on the phone with Mark and he screamed, like, again, he swapped the characters. I did talk to Brian Callen. He swapped that character out. So maybe he heard about a bomb threat somewhere else and decided that happened to his kids. Like, that would be a more likely scenario to me. He hears things and then he swaps the characters to make it like self-aggrandizing, or make himself the victim, right? Like, a lot of narcissists have this victim bully complex where they're either like bullying people or they're the victim. And there's no in between. There's no like principled behavior, you know, but he's the greatest victim you've ever met. Like, everything is somebody else's fault, you know.
Damn, here we go. I mean, it's saying it all here. Hello, Mark Harley. We got something else coming in here from, this is
Super chat.
Evil Devil Cuckoo Bot. What?
Mark, hello 100k karma on Reddit in a few days, Harley.
100k karma. You ready? Incoming?
Yeah.
Hold on. It's Papa.
You hear that jam?
Oh my God, Papa's here.
I would never
never
shit
do
on
that.
anyone. It's not true. I'm just like Kim Jong-il. I never take a shit because I don't even have an asshole.
Wow, I didn't think you...
That's hilarious. You know, I mean, one of the funniest things too is there's all these clips of him online saying, I'd never shit on anybody. Like, I don't hate, like, I'm not a hater at all. Dude, you can find examples of it online, but like privately, this dude shits on anybody, like anybody who's doing better than him or not doing better than him. But it's like, you know, he'll shit on guys like Josh Wolf, like who was there for him hardcore when tfatk was in trouble. And he'll kind of like just privately dismiss him, like, yeah, man, he can't sell tickets, so he's not funny. Like, whatever it is, like, he has this way of being like, oh, he can't sell tickets. It's like, you can't sell tickets, motherfucker. You know, I've been at shows where there's 12 people in the audience. So the idea that, like, yeah, just that he's not a hater, like, he's so petty in private, you would believe it. But I'm just saying, it's like, you know, just compared to what he claims outwardly, it's a complete contradiction.
Okay. We got
Super chat.
Del West coming in.
Hey guys, how's socials?
Yeah, he would ask that. I don't even know if it came across in the screenshots that I shared, but like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, my job, he's like, oh yeah, Mark was so shitty at his job. Oh really? Like, you know, when I was on call for you 24/7, like multiple times a day, how's socials, and you never know what he wanted either. Cause like, do you want like screenshots of like all the most recent posts? Like, but he's basically saying, hey, tell me positive things, tell me positive things, tell me positive things, tell me positive things, tell me positive things. You know, it's all about narcissistic supply for him. So like, cause it's like, hey, do you want me to tell you everyone's shitting on you in the comments? Like, of course not. So it's like basically saying, tell me something good about social media. You know, like, I'm a thirsty 12-year-old girl. I don't have social media, but also like, you know, it's like, I don't eat ice cream. I'm just having my assistant spoon feed it to me all hours of the day. Like, when I don't eat it, it just happens to fall in my mouth when my assistant puts the spoon up to it and lets it slide off, you know.
There you go. Thank you, Turpy, for the membership. Right now, the poll has you 92%. With 400 plus votes over here, 8%, now 7% Brendan. So they are really team Mark in the chat.
Super chat.
I'd love to talk to those 7%. Like, what the fuck?
Enjoyed the interview, Mark. Schaub is not even funny. Oh, will you be in a future season of The Witcher?
They want you in The Witcher. Would you ever be the lead in The Witcher?
Yeah, of course. And it's funny because that's like my mom will say stuff like, she's like, you need to take Jason Momoa's roles. You need to take Henry. It's like, I don't think that's how Hollywood works, Mark. It can't be, you know, Mom, I just can't be like, hey, tell Jason Momoa to step aside. There's a new guy in town, you know.
We got one from
Super chat.
Casey SHFL.
Hey Mark, how damaging was the Gringo Poppy to Schaub's reputation / views?
Well, first of all, it was damaging to his views because he bought several 100,000 views on the Gringo Poppy in order to reach 1 million. And that's real, man.
Is that true? Is that a fact?
That's 100% factual. Brendan Schaub bought, I'm guessing, like 300 to 400,000 views, because remember it was around like 600,000, and he wanted it to get like, it's seemingly his only goal, his only metric of success. And it even said that he's like, man, I'm going to kill myself if I don't get to, you know, 1 million views. His only metric of success wasn't about reception. And this is kind of like how he does life in general. Like, he'll boil everything down to a number, right? and then get that number wrong, And so when you're talking about like, he'll fudge the number somehow, like, oh, I got 1 million views. He's brag, oh, it's almost at 2 million views. No, it's not. It's at 1.6 million views. And also 300 to 400,000 views are paid for. And you know what that does to your channel? I don't know if you know anything about the algorithm and how buying followers and views fucks you up, but it fucked this whole channel, because then the algorithm's like, wait, who's watching this? All these people from Pakistan and Eastern Europe or whatever, it doesn't give you any information about who your real viewership is, and they don't watch any of your other stuff. So it's really that's what ends up suppressing your channel. So he made this huge mistake just to get to 1 million views so we could have this celebration and see it as like a fuck you to the haters that he got 1 million views. Oof. And record numbers of downvotes. But the thing, here's one little insight is he goes, man, I thought I was going to do theaters after this. And I thought that was going to elevate me to the next level. He was really confused as to why the Gringo Poppy didn't launch him to doing theater tours. And it's okay, so why did you take that for granted? And his agents, by the way, were it's not ready yet. Don't put out don't even film it. That's what they said. It wasn't like they looked at the special and said, don't release it. They said, your set isn't ready to film. I think you should wait. And he's like, no, I'm not going to fucking wait. I've been doing the same jokes for 3 years. It's well, okay, been doing the same jokes for whatever, however long, but have they gotten any better? Have you looked at them? Have you watched a video of them? Have you added tags or punchlines to anything? Have you tightened it up? Have you taken out superfluous words? I don't think those things cross his mind. I've never seen him actually review footage of his own stand-up other than to okay it for posting to social media.
Wow, that's pretty wild stuff. Oh, hold on, we got some boobies coming in. This is from Blockbuster. We got a song playing.
Hey, I can see your underwear. Put your boobies in the air. Flapping like I just don't care. Can I lick your pubic hair? Snap a picture, time to share. Took my meat vision impaired. Filthy mind, I need a prayer. Pervert cameraman, beware. Pervert cameraman, show them tits.
Thank you.
Pervert cameraman, $10 tip. Pervert cameraman, Yanni Celeste.
All right.
Pervert cameraman, show them breasts. Boobies.
We got a pervert cameraman donation coming in.
Hey
over
Marge, how many thick boys, current and non-current, are secretly homeless cats?
Well, I think everybody who's there, gets the humor. You know what I mean? There's nobody there who's what? It's crazy that people make fun of Brendan. It's crazy that anybody thinks he's arrogant. It's crazy that anybody thinks he's a raging narcissist who lies about everything. We all know he's erratic. They all know that he's unreliable. We all know that he flies by the seat of his pants. So even as a managerial style, it's just, you're dealing with a lot just from his erratic nature as a human being, which of course is in tension with how he presents himself to the world as a polished, wealthy, professional entertainer. But now I understand that if you're an on-camera guy, it's not always the easiest transition to be a manager, but he kind of bills himself that way. It's not like he's just a regular, look, I'm a comedian. I don't know much about managing. He's I went to school to study business. You can't tell him shit about how to run a business. He's got it all figured out. In his mind, he's the big boss man, business guy. So this is part of his identity is how good he is at business and management and all these different things. But he relies on a few tactics, control by threats, by keeping people off guard, by pitting people against each other, by making things competitive when it doesn't need to be. There's no real long-term vision. There's not a lot of great communication. There's not a lot of encouragement almost at all. I remember thinking before I got fired, I'm when was the last time I was even told good job about something?
So he never really was that supportive like that? Hey, man, you kicked ass this week? No, huh? Damn, man. I keep on hearing from people that he's the nicest guy in the world. He's the most giving guy, this and that.
Yeah. I mean, but who? Who they've met for 5 minutes? Again, okay. I'm saying this, I worked with him 7 days a week. Now, at first, maybe you do that because what do narcissists do? They love bomb people. So of course it's going to be the first Christmas I met him, he gave me $1,000 from, Christmas, or he'd give me things here and there and just kind of like, do a lot of future promising, where it's like, oh, you're going to be this and you're going to be that. But then like his actions just aren't in line with that because again, he undermined me in a lot of ways that were just, I felt like totally unnecessary, like to boost himself or whatever the motivation was behind that. But it was like, it almost like anytime he spoke about me or to me, on tfatk, especially be like, oh my God, like let's do, 5 minutes on how gross it is when Mark eats or something like that. And it's always just kind of like, like I always would go like, imagine if I was doing this to you, it's impossible to picture because he'd get so defensive and sensitive about it while also calling me sensitive all the time. Like that was his favorite thing to be like, you can't be so sensitive and argumentative. I'm like, are you describing yourself, bro?
It's very ironic. Yeah. We hear him say that all the time. And it does sound like he's the most sensitive out of anybody. It's kind of wild.
Oh, I mean, just imagine criticizing him for anything, imagine like you don't do it because like, that's why people, why do they correct him more? Because he makes a fucking issue about it. Like you're going to constantly correct this guy when he's getting facts wrong and pronouncing things. It gets old. You know what I mean? And also like, it's boring, like not boring, but it's annoying correcting a pathological liar, because it was like, that's why people go away from you eventually. Like any pathological liar I've known, I always just distance myself from them because like, unless they're talking about you, I don't really have a desire to correct them. You know what I mean? Because it's like, what am I, your fucking mom? Like I have to like correct you every time you're wrong. Like grow up and tell the truth, you idiot.
Well, listen, there are so many donations coming in over here. I would love to stay with you all night, but I mean, I don't want to keep you. I mean, we've been here for an hour and 40. I'm having a pleasure talking to you over here, but I mean,
there's no rush on my end.
All right, you want to hear the rest of these questions?
Of course, bro.
All right, let's do it. Hey, we got hella markharley here. He's game. He's ready to go. Fire it in. We got a Kainoto donation coming in.
Wonderful, wonderful.
I just tuned in and saw this guy on the screen and thought, why is Christ on Trembolone? Was that really Brendan's wife? Holy shit, not a single day in the gym was spent with that broad. She's ready for the liposuction Olympics.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Hey, I don't know. Like, see, that kind of stuff, like, you had me at Christ on Trembolone, but I'm not into body shaming women, to be honest.
How do you go to
I know, like, yeah, dude, she's in her 30s and had 2 kids, man. I think she deserves all the credit in the world, to be honest.
Yeah, that's one of our interesting viewers. Over, thank you, Kainoto. Appreciate that.
No, I get it. Like, I get like guys do that and stuff like that.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Hey, I don't subscribe to it.
No, I don't blame
There's
you.
a funny story about how stupid Brendan is. He was arguing with a journalist about whether or not giraffe had the letter D in it. He thought giraffe was spelled giraffe. True story. He's a moron. This is a true story.
He told this on King of the Sting. I saw the clip recently, and it's like, it's one of these things. Now, I saw something live that was like similar to this, where like 2 months ago, he revealed to us that he thought New England was a state or something like that. like he's like, yeah, the New England Patriots. What's New England? And we're like, it's a collection of states. It's like a region, like you would say, the Midwest or something. Or not, I mean, I guess it's more formal than that, but like I would describe it as a region. He didn't and he went around the room. He's like, Chin, did you know that? Casey, did you know that? Mark, did you know that? And we're like, yes, of course we knew that New England isn't a state,
Yeah.
And this is another one where it's like, you were in your 20s.
Well, New England is a state. New England is a state. I think you're getting it mixed up over here. You're saying like Boston, you're talking about like within New England being its own.
I'm saying New England is a region. It's a collection of states.
Yeah.
It's not a state. It's a collection of states.
I know. I'm just trying to throw you off here. I'm just trying to see if I can get you. I'm just trying to set a little trap. Nothing. Okay.
Exactly. You're like actually, but Brendan was right. You're a fucking idiot.
All right. I'm just making sure. All right. So listen, I gotta throw some tests out there just in case. You never know. We got Jeremy Stutz.
Mark, would you work with Ariel Helvani?
Would you work with Ariel Helwani?
Yeah, because at minimum he seems like, and again, you have maybe had some negative experiences, like, and other people maybe have had, but like, to me, the big like green flag when I look at that guy is at least he communicates properly. You know what I mean? I would assume even if there were issues with working with him, which I don't know, I haven't gotten into detail with anybody about what the particular issues were working alongside him, but at least he seems like somebody who could take accountability, even if maybe he could be mean or overly direct. And maybe that's something you want to tell me more about, like what was sort of the broad category of the issues you had with him. But like, at least he's an effective communicator, because that's really what it comes down to. When I'd butt heads with Brendan and, you know, like we'd have these disagreements. I'm like, we're not even on the same page, you know, communicating. Like we're just talking past each other, because I'm going out of my way to be really clear, precise, and as concise as possible. And he likes to kind of deflect and shift the goalpost and, you know, use all these sort of bad faith tactics in an argument. So.
Okay, there you go. We got something else coming in here from
Super chat.
lyrics of best songs.
How often did Brenda piss in the sink?
Did
Multiple times a day.
He did piss in the sink.
Oh, multiple times a day. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
again, like this, it was weird. Like it didn't, I think a lot of other people had a more visceral reaction to it. So, only, you know, like the creative director, Mike Nell, who's a great guy, you know, and great guy, never met him. He was the one who, like, you know, and he's really direct too. Mike's a really great communicator, and I liked working with him as I like working with everybody. Because at Thick Boy, because they're all good dudes. Mike was a really good communicator, and he was able to communicate directly with Brendan, and that's what would create tension, because he would say things like, you know, here's how you're failing me as a boss, or whatever, or just like, hey man, if you're going to criticize me, like, you know, he's going to speak his mind, and you should be able to do that when you're kind of like, you know, the next in line as far as the power structure. You should be able to communicate openly, and especially if you're, you know, in charge of strategy and stuff like that. So he communicated with him, hey man, this really bothers me. You know what I mean? Like, this really bothers me that you piss in the sink. Everybody else goes into the hallway and goes to the bathroom. Like, you're pissing in the sink. That's not like a sink in the bathroom. It's a sink in the middle of the studio, like right next to all these glasses and that everybody uses. It's like next to the refrigerator. So like any splash down is going to be like on utensils and shit, you know? Mm-hmm. So he perceived it as being very rude, and Brendan agreed to not piss and then kept doing it, you know? So.
Well, listen, this is pretty wild. Listening to all these stories over here and things that you are saying is true. It's almost like the Fighter and the Kid subreddit is coming to life right now. It's like blowing my mind how you're saying that these things are true. Now, I just want to make this very clear to the audience over here. This is coming from Markharley. This is his side of the story over here. We don't have both sides of the story, but this is his side. Very convincing. Very convincing.
And also, like, look, here's what I'm going to throw out there. Brendan, go live with me on any podcast. Go live with me. Go live with me. And we can air it out, and we can bring our evidence, and we can discuss these things that you're claiming. So I'm going to challenge you to do that, knowing that you can't do that because you're an egomaniac who's been lying about the entire situation. So of course you won't fucking go live with me. Everything you said, beforehand, as far as your side of the story, was in fact a complete mischaracterization at best and an outright lie at worst. If you believe that there's something more to the story, go live with me. If you believe that the evidence that I just provided, you know, one of the pieces to show that you were lying about basic elements of the story, like timeline, you know, you said it was 8 hours and really it was 4. I provided evidence from my phone. So unless I had that all queued up, ready to go, because I knew the questions in advance, you know, it would be impossible for me to make that up. But if you feel like I did, if you feel like I lied here or I fudged any evidence, let's go on a podcast together with a neutral arbitrator, somebody who will give us each time to speak and each time to present our evidence. And I am 100% confident that you will look like a fucking idiot because you lie about everything, including every single thing that you told the host of this podcast before we went live.
So I was actually going to try to pull that off. Actually, that was the move I was going to try to make. And there was a decline. Yeah. Apparently he does not do media. That's what I got.
Right. Doesn't do media. He just does 18 podcasts a week.
Yeah. Doesn't
do media. Hires a PR campaign. Doesn't do media. Does a bunch of other people's podcasts that you may know. You know, like I can think of a number off the top of my head. He did Rick Glassman's podcast. He did the garbage podcast, whatever, like Are You Garbage podcast. He did Kim Congdon's podcast. He did one recent, like, you know, he's always doing other people's podcasts. What are you talking about? He doesn't do media. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Well, Brendan, if you are watching, or if anyone that you know is watching this stream over here, I'd like to throw my name in the hat. I would be completely unbiased. I would leave the homeless cats at home, and I would say, let's do this. Let's put this together. Let me know in the chat if you'd like to see this. I think this should happen because, listen, we are only getting one side of the story. That is the truth, but you are willing to do this live, and if he is not willing, that doesn't look very good, right?
And also, I want to applaud you, too, with even, like, because I'm wary of going on these shows and just being like, here's my side of the story. Like, it looks like I'm complaining or whatever, or like, of course it's built in. Like, you could be exploiting this just to like allow me to say the most salacious things possible if that was my agenda to get views and make headlines. But you did your due diligence as, a journalist in this field, and you actually went out and solicited their side of the story. And you fielded it to me in real time, which I think you should be able to do, and if I'm agreeing to this interview, I don't think that's out of bounds whatsoever. And I invite that because, I think if you're telling the truth, you should be able to think on the fly because your story should say the same. And it shouldn't line up with somebody who's telling, the opposite of that. And, so I applaud you for not just turning this into like, tee me up to say the most salacious things. You did, in fact, you were willing to contradict things I've said. And to me, that speaks to your desire to be neutral in the situation. So
I appreciate it. And like I said, I do have people that I am connected with that are friendly with Brendan. I don't know Brendan. If I knew Brendan, I can give my actual opinion. I've gave my opinion on the Gringo Poppy. That was easy to do. But with this whole situation, like I said, we're just getting your side over here. And I got to be honest with you, like I am leaning towards your side because this is the only side we're hearing. There's really nothing else we can go by. Other than a Reddit that is just very unhappy with Brendan.
Yeah. But also, like, I still haven't put out all the evidence I have. Like, not that there's any like bombshells of like I showed you on my phone. Like, maybe some of the stuff I haven't really reviewed it in terms of like what the claims are. But like, I already know. Like, it's like I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. The 6 months of clips not being to like again. To me, that should just be like inherently like a ridiculous claim because. Why would you like be paying somebody for 6 months of work that they never did and you're like the boss? Like, what does that say about you? But like, also he didn't name anything. So all these things, like, I think you can sort of inherently tell there's a lot of issues with the story. But yeah, again, like I'm calling you a pathological liar, Brendan. Like, if you care enough about your reputation to pass on this information through somebody else, I think you care enough to rebut it, right? Because this makes you look really fucking bad.
There you go.
And none of this was said privately to me ever. Like you could have emailed me, you could have texted me. I only blocked you after you sent me this ridiculous fucking like I did text, and I put these text exchanges online where he's like, after I went on Red Bar, he's like, you should be proud of yourself. And I go, you should be proud of yourself too, dude. And he's like, you were my friend. Like, he goes, why would you do that on a podcast? I'm like, dude. Like,
wait, hold on a second. He said he sent you a message after you did Red Bar?
He did. Yeah, I'll read it out loud now. Here we go.
Hold on, let me zoom in on this. Here we go.
A lot of cats have already seen this, but like, I'm gonna try to
just make sure you don't show any numbers.
Oh yeah. So the first one is, hey brother, I don't like the way things went down between us. You're a great friend to me. Working together makes it fucking tough. No, it doesn't. Working with you makes it tough, but. Like, again, I worked my ass off for this dude. Anyway, the drama part of it starts where he goes, you should be proud of yourself. That's sarcastic, by the way. I don't know if a lot of people got that when I posted it. And I go, yeah, so should you, dude. Thumbs up. He goes, you were my friend, man. And I go, you weren't my friend. And I say that because, yeah, you were my friend at some point, but then you started acting like a fucking asshole and undermining me at every turn and talking shit about me, behind my back and just generally exploiting me. So he goes, maybe I didn't handle certain things always right as a boss, but to go on a podcast for what? Which is a stupid question to ask because, like, you would go on podcasts and talk shit about me when we were friends, right? So it's like, okay, so you can air out, your frustrations with me talking too much over the weekend. And, my wife that you just met and you're shitting all over her, but like I go on a podcast to speak about my experience in a matter-of-fact manner, and that's an issue. I said, hey, you treat people like shit across the board. He says, that's not true. LOL. I say, hey, dude. And then he says, it's all good. Wish you the best. I go, you realize you're going around the country telling people I send shitty dick pics, right? And then in response to him saying, it's all good, wish you the best, I go, haha, fucking pussy. The moment shit gets real. Which meant like, the moment shit gets real, and he always does this. Like I go, like I start to list off shit. He's like, hey man, I'm good. I'm going to let you. It's like, because you can't confront reality. Weird. And he goes, I go, the moment shit gets real, I go, you need to be honest with yourself. You don't just treat me like shit. You treat everyone like shit. And I've tried to explain that to you, but you're not interested in hearing that. And then he left me this stupid voicemail.
What's up, brother? Decided to send you a voice note and say not to text you. I don't,
I'll subscribe to
reasons. I don't know, man. I've been contemplating whether hitting you back up. You seem really upset.
No, I don't.
Obviously.
I didn't.
Man. If you wanted to hurt me, you got me, brother.
You got me.
Definitely got me.
I'm bleeding out.
I don't understand it. I don't
understand it.
Your friend. It's weird. I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad. I'm not. I don't know why. It's weird. I'm not mad. I'm just hurt, man. I'm sad about it.
It's all about me. I'm not even hurt.
You're a friend, man. You're a really good friend. You don't have a ton of friends.
He said, I don't have a ton of friends.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. Why?
I hope you're doing okay,
bro. I hope you're doing okay.
I hope you're doing okay.
Obviously, you're mentally unwell, and that's the reason you're doing this, right?
Even now.
If you need anything, if you need me to just like pay you the money that I owe you from, months ago. Like,
despite all the bullshit we're dealing with. I hope you're okay, man.
We're dealing with.
I truly, truly love you like a brother. You were great to me, man. You were a good dude, and I miss you, man. I hope you're okay. I doubt you text me back.
But then I did, and he had blocked me.
You have, you feel the way you feel, and if that's valid, if that's the way you feel, man.
If that's the way you feel.
I don't know what to do, but yeah, I hope you're okay, man. That's it.
So my takeaway from it, of course, I'm happy to hear your response, but like very manipulative, right? It's very sympathetic, and you almost go like, oh, poor baby. But then you go like, he takes accountability for zero things, right? And now maybe he feels like it's all my responsibility. Okay, that's fine. You should say that then. If I thought that, I'd be like, dude, what the fuck is like? That was all your fucking fault. Like, I'd be mad because I'm not even mad. Oh, you're not mad. Thank you for being so gracious and not even being mad at me being honest about the ways in which you treated me like shit. Then he goes, I'm really hurt. Makes it about him. Then he implies like, it just sounds like you're really upset. Listen to the Red Bar interview that he's responding to. There is not a hint of malice. There's not a hint of anger. I'm speaking matter-of-factly. And in fact, like you saw me get riled up on this podcast today, but some of that was like hearing these accusations for the first time. You do get angry and you do get upset. By the time that I was speaking on my experience with Red Bar, I had already let my emotions settle for several weeks. And I don't like to speak out on things when I'm angry. Mm-hmm. That's never my style, is to like have a reaction and just blast it because I go, I need to think this through. I'm angry. I need to go, lock myself in a room and figure that the fuck out. And I went back and forth on whether or not I would. And I only decided to speak out when I felt like I got enough information and talked to some people that had a similar experience. And it crossed over to be like, you know what? I need to do this for more than myself. If it was just myself, I'd be less interested in doing it. Maybe I'd still do it. But like, if you know me, you know that's not how I'm really driven. And I've had situations like this before where I kept it private. And I've emailed people and just told them what my issues were. And some people actually can respond to that. And go, you know what, you're right. But I always will lay it out for people. And I've done that with Shaw before. And so even the idea of like, I don't understand. I've laid it out very clearly in writing multiple times for him, all these issues that he had. And he gives me the same treatment of, I don't understand.
So you're saying basically this is not your first rodeo. He always comes back and plays the victim and he's sorry and this and that.
Dust up, it's always, hey man, I didn't like how you did things. And to Brian's credit, by the way, I've had a couple dust ups with Brian, some disagreements, minor things. He'll look at me the next time I see him and go, hey man, come here. I'm sorry about yesterday. That was wrong. I was a little heated, whatever. And I can go, yeah, man, me too. I'm going to take responsibility. And to me, like, that's the masculine thing to do, is like take complete ownership. If the other person doesn't want to accept your apology, you can't force them. If they don't want to take accountability for anything, you can't force them. But Brendan has never once looked me in the eye and said, hey, I'm sorry. And I think he's done a lot wrong, and I dismissed a lot, and we kind of like, I'd let it go. But what he's never done, what you didn't see here, and what you're not going to see in anywhere in the text, is going, it was wrong of me to do this thing. That's never happened. And that's also very telling, you know?
Wow. Holy smokes. I'm stopping it right there. That is like a mic drop. I was going to go into the Kalila stuff, but you already spoke about that stuff on other shows and all that nonsense. Are you still team Brendan on that, though, with Kalila? Or
you know, that's more nuanced, I guess. Like, I think my opinion of who Kalila is as a person has maintained the same, but like, just Brendan's level of fucking idiocy with dealing with, like, you know, like, I think they were wrong to bring up the accusations of like the truck wog and saying he hit me in the DMs. It's like, that's a little bit of a dicey territory where I just don't like, you know, I don't like trying to hurt somebody's family, you know, just for like clicks and views. And then secondly, like the Bobby Lee, like, is the master of the subreddit thing. That was so many levels of fucking stupid. He hires this fucking team of fake hackers, gives them cash in a fucking duffel bag, and knowing who he went through to get these hackers, like, in retrospect, I'm like, oh my God, like, why didn't you fucking tell me that at first? Like, I would have been like, run, don't walk, run away from this person. You're probably getting scammed. In retrospect, you realize that, I think to some degree, that this all may not have been real, but like, he's not evaluating the 300 pages of evidence that he claims to have had. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And then it's the stupidest thing in the world to go out and publicly, like, not publicly, but go to Bobby Lee knowing that he has a platform to talk about if your accusation is false. It's kind of like the gay thing we talked about earlier. When you're telling, you know, other people that like, oh, this guy's gay. It's like, imagine that's not true and walk yourself through the ethical implications of that false assumption and false accusation. For a narcissist, that's impossible, because it would have to open up the possibility that you're wrong about something, which is very difficult for him to do. So because of his arrogance, because of that pride, because of his inability and unwillingness to think through anything, he just made the situation, which was stupid in the first place, 1,000 times worse. And he still can't own up to that fact when his ticket sales are dwindling and the views are dwindling. He won't even acknowledge, like, hey, maybe the fact that you attacked and bullied this beloved comedian, that might have something to do with it. Oh, no, it's because of the recession. Sure thing, dude.
Oh my God. I love it, man. I love your honesty. I love the way you you're an open book and you explained your side of the story. I appreciate you stopping by tonight, and your lovely wife coming on for a little bit as well. Hey, anytime you want to come back on, you have anything to say, you're always free to come back on the show. And you said you're going to be starting your own podcast, right? Like a new podcast?
Yeah, I got